at 6:26, the 5:30 school board meeting for January 24th. And I'd like to begin tonight before we have our invocation and pledge with a moment of silence for another employee who we have recently lost, Mr. Raphael Feliz Jaime, custodian at Haggerty High School. Raphael was a friend, a brother, an uncle, and a father, but most of all, he was an amazing grandfather, and he will be missed by those who knew and loved him. So if you would please, just a moment of silence for Mr. Jaime. Thank you. Ms. Almond, this evening you have the invocation and pledge.
Thank you. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan signed into law a federal holiday marking the January 15 birthday of Martin Luther King, Jr., which is celebrated nationally on the third Monday in January. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., who lived from 1929 to 1968, a Baptist minister, was the best-known leader of the U.S. Civil Rights Movement. In his lifetime, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and from the American Jewish community, their American Liberties Medallion for his exceptional advancement of the principles of human liberty. The crowning achievements of Dr. King's drive for equality for all Americans were the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Please stand and join me in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Right.
We'll let the record reflect that all school board members, Superintendent Griffin, council, and school board clerk are in attendance this evening. Tonight we have joining us Katie Burris, who is the Seminole County Council PTA representative tonight. Katie, thank you for being here. We appreciate you very much. Katie Murphy is also here this evening. She serves on the SEC PTA board as well. Thank you, Katie, and is probably enjoying retirement. Thank you for all you do. Chris Torsha is here representing the Business Advisory Board, and we appreciate you being here. We know you have something to share with us later on in our meeting, so we'll look forward to hearing from you. Superintendent.
I have a few agenda modifications, Madam Chair. The first is I'd like to move items 7, which is public comment, and item 8, which is unfinished business, which is the rezoning recommendation, to follow item 2 on the agenda. So we're going to move that way up. And then the second item is the addendum for good cause is marked on our electronic agenda by a green flag named addendum item.
Thank you so much. School board members, any agenda modifications? All right. Can I have a motion for the agenda outline?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. And I apologize, I neglected to recognize tonight we have with us Sheriff Dennis Lima, and we know that you and some of your team are here tonight and will be recognized. We appreciate you so much, so thank you for being here. All right, we have some presentations. All right.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, Superintendent Griffin, board members, other distinguished guests that we have here this evening. My name is Maureen Dobbins. I'm the Seminole County Public Schools Prevention Specialist, and I'm also the Positive Behavior Support District Coordinator. Positive Behavior Support is a multi-tiered system of support that provides school-wide application of evidence-based strategies and systems to assist schools. This provides an increase in academic performance, an increase in school-wide safety, decrease in problem behavior, and establishes a positive school culture. Seminole County Public Schools began training schools under this project 13 years ago. 60 of our Seminole County Public Schools have been trained, and tonight we recognize those who have achieved model school status for the 2015-2016 school year. This is a statewide recognition. Also present this evening is Dr. Stephanie Martinez from the Florida Positive Behavior Intervention Support Program from the University of South Florida. I'd ask her to stand to be recognized as well. A PBS MTSS model school is one that has met specific criteria and has reported innovative, creative, functional, and successful methods of supporting positive behavior in their respective school and are operating their program with fidelity. Florida's Positive Behavioral Intervention and Support Project awards model schools at 3 levels: bronze, silver, and gold. Bronze level schools have developed innovative, functional ways of implementing positive behavior at Tier 1. Their multi-tiered system of support sets them apart from others at the Tier 1 level. Silver level schools drill down into their data to ensure that their Tier 1 systems are effective for all student groups and have taken steps to build systems of support for Tier 2. Gold level schools report all of these characteristics listed previously. Those are the bronze and silver level schools. They also implement with the highest fidelity and have developed supports at Tiers 2 and Tier 3. Gold level schools exceed their peers in both quality and depth of implementation across all 3 tiers of support. Gold level awards are being given this evening to, first off, Castleberry Elementary. We'd like to welcome Coach Pam Metzger, Assistant Principal Rebecca Wagner, team members Mary McDonough, Kristen Brilliant, Nancy Lanferseek, and Gary Lowe. Castleberry's worked long and hard for this gold recognition. They were silver last year, and they're very proud. They've worked very hard. Congratulations, Castleberry Elementary. Next up, we have a first-time model school winner, and they are starting off with gold. That would be Forest City Elementary. Come on down. We have Principal Paul Senko, Assistant Principal Amy Barone, and Coach Michelle Schoberg. They will receive a banner tonight from the Florida Positive Behavior Support Project and a plaque. They've worked long and hard for this. Congratulations, Forest City Elementary. Hagerty High School is earning a Gold Model School Award this evening. Their coach is Brittany Campbell. Their principal is Mary Williams. Their team members are Nellie Montecalvo, Terry Cospel, Doreen Roloff, Elaine Sayer, Laura Estes, and former leader and Hagerty groupie Grace Wilkin-Yoder. This is Hagerty's first year as a gold model school. They were silver last year. Congratulations, Hagerty High School. Next up, Lake Brantley High School. The coach is Shauna Resnick, Principal Dr. Trent, Assistant Principal Dr. Sanchez, team members Brian Keys, Amy Jones, Ramon Arce Ramos. They are here this evening, and we're so happy to have them back. This is not their first rodeo. They received gold a couple of different times. Congratulations, Lake Brantley. Congratulations, Lake Brantley High School, exceeding the challenge. We have a middle school coming up now that has been very successful in their attempts to achieve Gold Model School Award. The school coming up next is Lawton Childs Middle School. Coaches Cheryl Zilkowski, Principal Linda Mummy, Diane Taylor, team member. AP Diane Taylor. Team members Frank Todd, Amy Bramblett, and Natalie Matawalak. Gina Deschanel, John McClary, Art Bond, and Sarah Goodman. Their entire team is here this evening. Congratulations, Lawton Childs. That was a lot of names. I got one more. Okay. I know. Congratulations, South Seminole. Lawton Childs. Next, we have South Seminole Middle School. This is their very first time receiving a Gold Model School Award, a PBS. They have the coach, Martha Reidenbach, the principal of the year, Mia Coleman-Baker, AP, Trish Elshafargi, Tricia Bridges, Christy Seitz, and Crystal McAvoy. Congratulations, South Seminole Middle School. Last but not least, we have one more school to recognize this evening. This is not their first time either being a Gold Model School. Spring Lake Elementary, come on down. We want to recognize School Administration Manager Alyssa Marquez and Stephen Bonomo here to represent Spring Lake this evening. Congratulations, Spring Lake Elementary. This concludes our award presentation. I would like to mention that we trained 4 more high schools today and another middle school, so we have 5 more PBS teams coming down the pike. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, superintendent, sheriff, distinguished guests. My name is Rick Francis, School Safety and Security Director. I'd like to take this opportunity to formally recognize Deputy Todd Farham of the Seminole County Sheriff's Office for his community outreach efforts. Deputy Todd Farham has been a SRD at the Seminole County Sheriff's Office since 2016. Since coming to the School Safety Division, he has made an immediate and positive impact on his school, English Estates Elementary, and the community. His tireless drive to serve and protect is remarkable. Deputy Farham has volunteered for Skate with the Sheriff, Christmas Village, and community safety presentations. Deputy Farham is an advisor for the Powell Cadet Program and is a contributing member of our Focus on Safety Committee. He also wrote a proposal for the division-wide initiative that was approved and will be implemented next school year during Red Ribbon Week. Furthermore, he was nominated by his peers as one of 2 candidates for School Resource Deputy of the Quarter, second quarter. Just to demonstrate the type of person Todd is, at the start of the nomination process, Todd sent this following message out to his peers. I voted for Joanne Jackson, and I feel like everyone else should also. Her dedication, knowledge, and passion for this agency says it all. Thank you, Todd. Through his work at English Estates Elementary School, Deputy Todd Farham met Erica, a single mother of a child who has frequent doctor appointments and hospital stays. The mother would often take her son to his appointments using public transportation. During one of the child's medical episodes, Deputy Farham drove the mother and the child to the hospital. During this time together, Erica shared with Deputy Farnham what his family struggles were. A short time later, Deputy Farnham told Erica's story to her personal acquaintance who owns Eagle Buick in Homosassa. The owner was so moved by the generosity, graciously donated a slightly used SUV. The vehicle also came loaded with toys during the holidays for her son, which was donated by the dealership employees. I'm happy to report the family's doing well. Currently, Deputy Farnham and Sergeant Rados are working on a new roof for another family of English estates that suffered storm damage during last year's hurricane and have been unsuccessful with claims through FEMA. Due to his efforts, Deputy Farnham is being submitted for consideration for the Sheriff's Office Community Service Award. I'm confident that this is just the beginning of many accolades and accomplishments for Deputy Farnham. Deputy Farnham is joined tonight by his family wife, Stacy, his SRD peers, and other members of the Sheriff's Office family. Please join me in thanking Deputy Farnham for his efforts in the community.
Thank you, Deputy. What an amazing, amazing story. It's hard to even get composed after hearing that. All right, we have new administrators to introduce to our board, and our first administrator is Ms. Jamie Minetto. And we are so proud to announce Jamie as the Director of Federal Projects and Resource Development. And Dean, would you stand up, Jamie's husband and her two daughters, please, because we know how much you mean to her and how much you allow us to have the benefit of her amazing work. Jamie has served as the coordinator for resource development at Seminole County Public Schools for 7 years. In addition to her work in budget and grants management, past experiences have included positions in student services and academic advising for post-secondary education. Ms. Minetto is a Seminole County graduate, received her master's degree in public administration from the University of Central Florida, and holds a graduate certificate in urban education. And Jamie brings annually to our district over $30 million, much of which is federal grants and entitlements, so she is the perfect administrator in her new position. Jamie, thank you so much and congratulations.
Good evening, Dr. Griffin and school board members. I'm pleased to announce the new Assistant Director of Facility Services, Ms. Kim Dove. Kim currently works for the school board as a project manager and environmental coordinator and has extensive supervisory and management experience. She has a Bachelor's of Science degree in Environmental Science from University of Florida, is a registered sanitarian, and graduate of the University of South Florida's Public Health Leadership Institute and the Florida Department of Health Leadership Institute as well. Welcome, Kim, and good luck.
Good evening again, board members and Dr. Griffin. I have three wonderful individuals I'd like to introduce you to who are serving in new leadership roles for us. First, Brian Zornick. Chef Brian is serving as Dining Services Culinary Manager. And what does that mean? Chef Brian will be focusing on research and development of menu items to serve our guests, working with student groups in that design. He'll also be supporting district wellness initiatives through exhibition cooking, educational presentations, and cooking presentations. Chef Brian was previously the restaurant manager at Markham Woods Middle. He also served as banquet chef, chef tournant, and restaurant chef at Hilton Orlando. Chef Brian received his degree in hospitality management and culinary arts from Johnson & Wales University. Welcome, Brian. Madeline Gonzalez. Madeline is currently serving as a dining services restaurant manager at Heathrow Elementary. Madeline was previously the assistant manager at Rainbow Elementary. She also has worked as an assistant manager with Tropical Smoothie Cafe and La Frontera. Madeline is also a U.S. Army veteran, and Madeline is currently working on her bachelor's in business from the University of Phoenix. Congratulations. Eduardo Salazar. Eduardo is currently a dining services restaurant manager. He was previously the assistant manager at Seminole High School. Eduardo has also worked as a sous chef with Hoover Market Sunflower Cafe, and he is also a U.S. Army veteran as well. Eduardo received his degree in culinary arts from the Le Cordon Bleu. And he is, tonight, his family, his mother is here, Mrs. Salazar, and his three children, Eduardo Jr., Julianne, and Nathan. Please stand.
All right, since we've moved up public comment this evening and moved up an agenda item, I'm going to start with some of our students who have public comment who also have homework. And they'd asked if they could please make their comments quickly and get home quickly so they could do their homework. So we're going to honor that request. Come on up, Mark Homberger, Dominic Rubino, and Ryan Gross. Thank you all so much for being here. You are students at Millwee Middle School, and you would like to talk about biology class for 8th graders, is what I'm told.
So last year, we, Mark Homburger Jacobs,
Dominic Rubino, and Ryan Gross,
who are currently 7th graders at Millwee Middle School, were who excelled at science were offered the opportunity to join a special advanced class. This class allowed us to take physical science in 7th grade, although it is normally an 8th grade course. Next year, we were promised that we would take biology. Last week, we were informed that this promise was revoked. We are here to ask you to do research and address this issue. We were informed that the reason is test scores, and that if we chose to go through the IB program, we would have to retake this course in high school. This has given us a challenge because on our course path, we should be taking biology next year in 8th grade. Because of this, we did some research and found this statistic. According to the Florida Department of Education's 2016 8th grade biology EOC test records, 97% of Seminole County 8th graders who took biology EOC got a passing score of a 3 or above, and 54% of all of them got a 5. Those are excellent scores. And by the way, great job preparing us.
However, why take away biology from the middle school curriculum when the success rate is so staggeringly high? In the math curriculum, in courses such as Algebra 1 Honors and Geometry Honors, once a student takes and passes that class, their credit is banked and saved for high school. We feel that this should be the same for science.
Seminole County prides itself on individualization and encourages students to progress at their own rate. We would appreciate the school board researching this issue and bringing back biology for the county's 8th graders next year. Thank you for your support and consideration. We appreciate your time, effort, and support of the Seminole County students.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Board members, let me just fill you in on the discussion that's taking place. We are looking at bringing the high school environmental science honors class specifically for the students who want to pursue the IB program. We worked with Dr. Collins, and it's a more natural progression that the students would be better prepared for the IB program. They would still get biology, but it would be later in the transition, and they'd have what would be available is the environmental science honors course, which is a high school course also. There's also, we're going to transition into this slowly. Some of the schools are still going to offer biology. We have biology teachers, a biology curriculum, but specifically for the students who want to transition into the pre-IB and then IB program, environmental science is a little more solid fit because we're finding the IB students are struggling a little bit more with chem and physics. They need a little more physical science prior to entering 9th grade, and then we can give them the bio, and then they can follow the IB progression from there. So just something in discussion, but they did a great job.
They did a great job.
Proud of their success.
So just to clarify, though, no final decisions have been made at this point, but we certainly, I think we'll probably be having more questions about that. So thank you very much for bringing it to our attention, and you all can bail out of here whenever you want. Okay. Mr. Torsha from the Business Advisory Board.
Good evening, board members. Christopher Torsha, I'm the chairman of the Business Advisory Board for the Seminole County Public Schools. I think it was last November I came before the board and informed the board that the members on the BAB have graciously and in honor of Dee Dee Schaffner contributed $500 toward the Seminole County Public School Foundation. I'm here today to deliver the actual funds to the foundation. I know Davia is not here today to accept it, but I want to present it to the board and have the board pass it on to Dee Dee Schaffner, to the foundation in honor of Dee Dee Schaffner.
Thank you so much. Awesome. And I neglected to ask Dr. Calderon to read the public input segment portion of our meeting, but we did that during the public hearing, so I'm assuming we're probably covered with that if everyone's okay with that. And so we're moving on because we moved our agenda item 8A. 8A. I've got to go back and remember Roman numerals. Is there any other public comment that anyone has related to anything else on the agenda this evening, in light of the fact that item 8A is the next item that we're going to take up and vote on? All right, well, I'm going to take it back then to Dr. Griffin, and then board members, if you have any other comments. So we're going to close public comment at this time, and we'll take up the item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My recommendation is that the School Board of Seminole County adopt the rezoning plan identified as Alternative Plan 2 modified.
And I know some of you already expressed that you made your comments earlier, but I did have some that I reserved. I don't know if any of you would like to reiterate anything or make any new points or questions.
Would you like a motion?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded. Right. Since there's a motion and a second on the floor, we'll go back to discussion. There were a lot of things that were brought to our attention, and many of them were items that had been discussed with prior emails that we'd received, phone conversations that we've had, and I won't belabor some of the comments that were made, but I do have some questions, and candidly, there were some very valid points that were made. I was at the mayors and managers meeting with Dr. Griffin last week, which is an opportunity for all of the mayors of the 7 cities, the chairman of the county commission, and city managers and county manager, and Dr. Griffin and the chairman of the board to meet once a month to talk about all sorts of items that impact us. And one of those things that we discussed just at this last meeting was this SCALD process, the capacity letter of determination. And we do have that communication that is open and ongoing. We do have the Public Schools Facility Planning Committee that meets. We haven't met in a little while, but it does meet. And I was reminded recently of the last time we met, one of the points of discussion that we had in talking about redoing our interlocal agreement is that for developers who want to build here in Seminole County, there will have to be an acknowledgement and a continued understanding that you may not have your communities necessarily have capacity at the school closest to your development. That was a point of continued discussion because as we do work with our city friends and our folks at the county, as much as we try to accommodate all of the decisions that they make, those are their decisions that they do make in terms of building new developments. And we then have that hand dealt to us to somehow provide that capacity for those children that will be living in those developments. So yes, we do work together well, but we are dealt the hand that is dealt to us in terms of development. So all of those pipes coming up out of the ground, we're grateful to have new neighbors, but it does cause a dilemma. The idea about moving, identifying the neighborhoods that are in the Castleberry area, I was looking actually for that SCALD map that we had at our last meeting here in my stack, but as creative as that is, I believe that would cause quite a few islands and the spot zoning that we try so hard to avoid. And I'll look to our attorney to kind of help us with this because we do have policy that is in place that this board follows. And we can, at some point in time, change policy, but currently this board operates under the policy that we have. Is that?
That is correct. And Madam Chairman, I would also point out that the initiation of the process began when the superintendent came and requested that rezoning for a number of reasons, and he identified those reasons. And part of those reasons included bringing program capacities in the areas around Longwood into balance. And so we're reopening Longwood, but also looking at those schools and in those cities that are in close proximity.
Okay. I know Keith is taking a great portion of the time in the conversation because there are a great number of students there, and I recognize that you're not directly being moved into that Longwood Elementary School. And so I recognize very clearly how you all feel that, you know, why leave us out of this? I think someone said last time, go ahead, do your rezoning, leave us out of it. I'm not sure that that is the responsible thing for us to do from a countywide perspective. I am looking for, one of the comments was about the target capacity for Keith and why were we changing it? I would like, if you could, Dr. Griffin, to answer that question or have one of your team members answer that. I think there's some miscommunication about target capacity and how that's changed over the years.
First and foremost, Keith is overcrowded right now. There are, I believe, 5 wooden portables and 4 concretables. Over the past several years, as the board is well aware, we've had to implement class size, where we've had to keep classes at a certain range because we're a choice district. We're allowed to use average. But where normally we would have maybe have had 23, 24, 25 students in a classroom, now we're running 18 to 22. And you have to look at the whole average for the entire campus. So what maybe a campus that used to hold 700 now probably accommodates 580. So it's the implementation of class size that has greatly affected our growth and our growth patterns. Most districts across the state have had to add a lot of portables and a lot of growth, even if students did not move in. Having to meet this requirement is problematic for us.
So the capacity at Keith changed because of the constitutional amendment that was voted on by the citizens of the state of Florida, essentially.
That's correct.
Okay. We all have a dear friend who has children at Keith Elementary, and I think we all were tagged in the same Facebook post about his concern that there had to be 2 different music productions because there wasn't enough capacity in the media center area. And he, you know, it was interesting. He was taking the exact opposite tone that some of the folks here are sharing tonight that are saying, hey, we've got plenty of room, bring in more students. This parent was saying, oh my gosh, we're busting at the seams. What are you going to do about it? So I think we're hearing, you know, from different perspectives, same school, and if we, to take Mr. Bauer's point, if we were to make everyone in this room happy, the gentleman who was not happy having to go to 2 different programs for his child's play that evening or holiday program would be very unhappy. And I'm not. I think unfortunately our job isn't to make people happy. Unfortunately, our job is to make hard decisions, and sometimes they're very unpopular. And I would entertain the idea of delaying if I thought it would change something. And the request to please split off Keith and just look at us differently and separately, I don't know how that would work. I would entertain that idea if I thought that there was a way that would change something, and I don't know what it would do. Any thoughts on that?
Well, if I were at another school, I would want to be having my same conversation about my school, possibly being rezoned and entertained independently as well.
And I know it's not the popular answer, but we have to populate Longwood. So if you don't include Keith in that move, you're going to have a school and a half at half capacity, because we're moving students.
And Madam Chair, if I might, I think this is only the first step in a process, because not only are we populating schools with students, even though we're fortunate enough to have been able to name the principal of Longwood Elementary, we have to hire teachers for all of those schools or move teachers. So perhaps the teacher that somebody has fallen in love with at Keith might actually be moving to Layer because the numbers are changing. So I think it's only fair to our future employees or current employees, you know that on our job hotline, I'm sure within days, we're going to have teaching positions, clinic positions, many other positions that are open that we can't, my opinion, if we delayed, I don't know what that would do. And that's why I asked the question. I know Commissioner Carroll made a good point that perhaps we need more time in the construction, and that's why I asked staff. I wanted to make sure that we did. I don't want to do a fast job and cut corners. I want it to be quality no matter where. And I believe that we are on target and we will make those goals. If I thought delaying the construction would make it better, I would entertain that as you, Madam Chair. But my concern is I don't want to delay too long to hire the best teachers we can, because that's what our students and families deserve. If we kick that can down the road, other districts perhaps could have hired the best and the brightest, and I'd rather they come here.
Along the lines of delaying, and I know I hear loud and clear that some of you would like this delayed. I had a phone conversation with someone recently, a parent who was trying to make a decision based on this rezoning, whether or not they were going to homeschool this next year or if they were going to enroll their child in private school. And I know that those decisions start coming up in February and March. Really, it's almost too late for some private schools. So I almost feel like we would be doing those families a disservice if they feel that they need to make a different choice option for their child to enroll in a different school system, that if we delay that, they may not have those other options available to them. So if there's no advantage on this end to delaying, I don't want to hold up other families that would like to look at other educational options.
I really believe a delay would just be that, and I think we'd be sitting, as Mr. Bauer said, at some point in time, we have to draw the line and we have to make a decision. It's not a popular decision. I don't think delaying would accomplish anything, and it certainly would not populate Longwood Elementary School, and we would have a greatly declined enrollment at both Winter Springs and Lair and be overcrowded at Keith. It has to be a group move for it to be efficient.
Madam Chair, I understand that you don't want to delay or anything, everybody up here. My big concern is just jumping through neighborhoods or skipping other neighborhoods, and that is a concern of mine where I've seen that happen before, and I don't sometimes really understand the whole diversity thing when I know about the free and reduced lunch and how we're only checking a certain %, and that concerns me. Not us per se, but the state. So it's almost like people are kicking themselves in the foot by doing that and sucking our tax dollars away by qualifying for something when they probably really don't need to. And I'm not saying that's for everybody. There's a lot of people that actually do need it and are honestly receiving the services that they require. But I really do believe, community schools work well too. And moving from one area to another or skipping over one neighborhood to the other neighborhood just so you can balance out can also be detrimental as well.
Thoughts or comments?
To Mrs. Sanchez's comment, I agree. I think we need to take a look at the free and reduced lunch qualification process and make sure that, it has always been hard for me to believe that we have been approaching and been slightly over 50% free and reduced lunches, and we're one of the richest counties in the state. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I really think in terms of meeting requirements when it comes to diversity, if we're using that as a measure, we need to make sure that that measure is accurate.
And board members, I can assure you the results of the bulk of this work was about capacity.
May I ask a question? I'm not sure who to ask. Maybe Chad Wilski. I just want to be clear. If we were to analyze whether or not someone qualified for free and reduced dollars, it's not like there's a pot of money and we would have some leftover change to spend at our discretion. Isn't that correct? You either qualify or you don't.
Correct.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
So I think it would be helpful to go back and look at those 9 parameters in our policy that we look at in determining rezonings, because they're not in any particular order, they're not weighted, but they are all different items that we're supposed to take into consideration, and I don't know if it's possible to get those all up there. Were they on a slide? Where's
They were on
where'd Joe
multiple
go?
slides, I think,
They
Madam Chair.
weren't all on one? Okay. My point in just bringing that back up again is that
Outrange.
diversity, no, it is one of the factors.
Correct.
It is not the primary factor. It's not the least important factor. It is a factor. Capacity is a factor. Islands are a factor. Transportation is a factor. These are all different things that we have to take into consideration with no weighting in our policy, and it's really left to us to make a determination of all of those factors, which plan would do the best to address as many of those as possible. And I'll look to our attorney to either correct me or augment what I'm saying. But I don't want to get so hung up on this diversity issue. It is a factor.
Correct. That's a good synopsis of the criteria that are in the policy. And that's in regards to not only looking at the policy and analyzing, but in creating it. So that's what the staff used when they were creating all of the proposed policies that Dr. Griffin then provided to the public and talked through with the public and made some decisions based on that.
And if I could, Madam Chair, I think your point is well taken because it is not a black and white issue. I think the most important words in each of those sentences is to the extent practicable. And as we said in our last public meeting, there really isn't a good word to say average, because we know whenever you talk about average, there's going to be outliers, and there's a big difference between median and mode, and how you look at the data, I think, can skew it sometimes. So to the extent practicable, we try to look at each student in each school, but district-wide, as you so well said, Mr. Bauer, that we can't just look microcosm, we have to look through the entire environment.
The other thing that I know was said earlier, but I think it bears repeating, and that was on another slide, Jill, now that you finally found this one for me, that talks about the timing of notifying parents, because I think that there are still some families who may not realize that their students may qualify for a type of grandfathering, was the word used earlier, because we have two different places in our policy that refer to
Good cause exemption.
exemption, thank you. And I think it is quite possible that there are even some families here tonight who may not realize that their student may qualify for one of those exemptions. And so that's why we're going to work to identify as many of those families individually and communicate with them directly so that we make sure that no one that has, by policy, the ability to stay at their school, that they're not overlooked. And I think that's important to note that as well.
My question is with the diversity, I mean, if it's not used as a set and we're doing the district setting, that's our set. We don't have to follow the state policy, we're not following anything else, and we're setting it. But we have the in-range and out-of-range on page 13. I'm confused about that.
Maybe restate the question.
If it's a federal, then if it's federal mandated, then I thought this is confusing.
I'm sorry, the question as far as the range that was used for the analysis, the staff looked at the 6 schools, looked at the free and reduced percentage at those schools, took an average, and used the plus or minus 15% as the range as far as the target when looking to create the proposals. Though that 15% up or down has been used in rezonings in the past, and to my knowledge was used in at least the last rezonings in the last 15 years. And so it's not a plus or minus that was just plucked out of the air. And the average itself was identified by looking at the environments that were looking to be possibly rezoned and taking that percentage and using that for the range, which is what the policy calls for, is to look for a target.
And I understand the target. My point is that we have people that are not getting, their free and reduced lunch applications are not getting checked properly. That's my concern.
Well, and I will have to have Mr. Wolfsky, speak to that point directly. I don't know that they're not being checked properly in the sense that they are being confirmed in a way that the law requires. From what Mr. Wolfsky provided at the
You said how
public-
many? of the
Correct.
percent?
We are following the law completely and verifying the applications that must be verified.
Okay, so they can get their free and reduced lunch information within 24 hours, and they're approved that fast?
So verification occurs in November. So parents don't apply, and us verify, and then benefits are determined. The way USDA, Congress has set it up, parents may apply. In November, we do verification, and then those status change or not. Once parents are eligible for the meal benefits, those meal benefits are good for the year.
Correct, I understand that.
But I would tell you, Seminole County Public Schools, we are doing it properly and by law. Trust me. Would not deviate from
With the
that.
highest percent of, one of the richest counties in the state, and we have 49% on free and reduced lunch.
Our percentages is still on the very low compared to most districts in the state. Before, as a member, I did a presentation to the board kind of explaining how could it be Seminole County being such an affluent district. Well, the reality is that we do have pockets of poverty. The board has done a great job. You walk into our schools, you don't necessarily see the poverty.
I know that. I have no
You don't,
idea.
except for, maybe one or two, three schools. We've done a really good job of getting that choice and the diversification. So we're very unique in that manner. But actually, when you compare us other districts, we're still one of the lowest free and reduced in the state.
There's no other questions or discussion. We have a motion and a second. Superintendent's recommendation. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, motion passes 4-1. Next item on the agenda.
Discipline.
I'm not sure.
No, thank you. We're fine.
Okay. All right, board members, the consent agenda, 4. Item 4 on our agenda this evening.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda, we had no items removed for separate consideration. Student discipline hearings.
My recommendation is that the School Board of Seminole County approve the student disciplinary recommendations from December 2nd, 2016, and December 19th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Superintendent's report?
They're all read-only items.
Any board or committee comments? Dr. Calderon?
I had no committees that I had to attend since our last board meeting, but unfortunately, you all were very busy in other meetings today. I just wanted to give you a personal update that Dr. Griffin and I had an opportunity to walk through Wekiva Elementary this morning, and I was very thrilled to see the quality of construction that was going on, the flexibility of the teachers and the students, and the excitement was contagious. And if that's reflective of what we're going to be doing to Longwood Elementary, to Hamilton Elementary, I want to go back to elementary school again. So I wanted to just give a shout out to all of our teachers for going above and beyond the call of duty of moving their classrooms into portables, walking through dust and dirt. But at the end of the day, I know Ms. Moramis might want to go back to that media center again. I know I had fun playing in it, and I suggest when you have the time and you're on that side of the county to go visit the school. So thank you.
Okay. The Seminole County Council PTA had their winter leadership training here recently. Dr. Griffin presented our legislative update, and we've also connected them with Ally to get the updates from her so she can keep her team informed and they can help us deal with our legislators. At the Community Alliance meeting, United Way said that if you call United 211 earned income tax credit, they'll help folks who need their taxes done for free if they qualify. So I'm going to send both of these to all of you electronically so you have it on file. And then Children's Cabinet talked about human trafficking, and I think I've heard 20 different presentations, and each one I learned is something a little bit new. One of the things they're focusing on is these crews that go door to door with stuff that they're selling, and they're being promised things that do not actually happen. Department of Children and Families is keeping up with that, and that's my report.
Sanchez?
And going on the human trafficking, we actually have a human trafficking awareness with the Seminole County Sheriff, as well as 2 other guest speakers this Saturday at Logan's Steakhouse in Sanford at 11:30 for anybody that wants to attend that. So it's becoming a huge issue in our state, everywhere basically, and so it will be a really informative meeting. We also had the opportunity, a lot of us went to robotics at Bear Lake and Seminole High School, and boy, oh boy, did we see some amazing things in STEM in full force. It was just absolutely fascinating, and we were competing against other schools in different districts in Central Florida, and I know there's some more this weekend, so I'm looking forward to seeing all the different ones that are out there. Also, I had an opportunity to speak to University of Central Florida's interns that will be interning in our schools, and they're super excited, and I believe they're probably right now passed out from their busy week of working. Today I did countywide for the student government leadership kids over at Seminole High School, and that was wonderful. We had a great turnout, and Mr. Jensen and Mr. Godrow had a great opportunity to talk about Sci-Hi and the wonderful opportunities with that. Really exciting. And different soccer games, Seminole High School versus Haggerty and Lyman and Lake Brantley and all the different ones. And tomorrow I'll be doing at Spring Lake reading for their reading literacy program, so that'll be fun. Bauer.
I had the opportunity to attend my first Zoo Board of Directors meeting, and I told them, from my perspective, I'm looking to get as many of our students to get out to the zoo and be exposed to animals as is possible. One of the things that, I know this because I have a nephew who's 2 and a niece who's 4. And I think it's very important that they become exposed, or they be exposed to animals firsthand. And it's getting more and more difficult for people to do that because, the ASPCA, has this mentality that basically no animals should be kept in captivity. And unfortunately, most people don't get to go to Africa to see animals. So I think it's very important that our students have the opportunity to go out to the zoo and be exposed to animals. And I told them they need to get more man-eating animals because and they said, well, what do you mean by man-eating? And I said, well, things that can kill you. They said, we have poisonous snakes. I said, no, but they got to be able to kill you with more drama, like lions, tigers, those kind of things, hippopotamuses. But we're going to work on that. That was the only meeting I had.
It sounds like it was a humdinger. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I missed it. All right, so we had our work session today with the foundation. A great opportunity to have some good conversation. I think there's probably additional conversations to be had, and I'm really thrilled that Dr. Griffin and the folks from the foundation will be able to carry on some of those things. I think the type of direct support organization that we have is something that if we need to discuss that model, then we need to discuss that model and decide how it is we want it to work, and let's just have the conversation and be open and honest and make a final decision, get that MOU done, and let's move forward. I think it's good. It was good conversation. The Teacher of the Year celebration is on March 3rd, and Employee of the Year celebration is on April 10th. Obviously, both of those events rely heavily on private support, so if there's anyone here that would be interested in being a donor or a sponsor to any of those events, that would be fantastic. Also, the Foundation's golf tournament is coming up, Golf for Education, on April 3rd. Also looking for whole sponsors and other
Players.
Yeah, if you like golfing, that'd be great. I actually pulled my kid out of school last year to play in that golf tournament. I don't know if that was like an allowable, I don't know if that was an excused absence or not, but that's where he was. He was there playing. Tomorrow, I have the opportunity, I'm really thrilled, to go to the Florida Council of Instructional Technology Leaders. Demetria Faison, principal of Crooms Academy, is up for an award, and we're excited that there's a possibility she's in the running, so I'll let you all know as soon as we find out how that goes. Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone else from staff that's going to be joining us, but we'll look forward to seeing anyone there. All right. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
One more thing. I remember that Jerry Kelly, our athletic director, was just nominated nationally for the athletic director of the year, which is a huge honor. So she'll be gaining an award in Chicago during the summer. So she's in the final selection for that. And then we also had our health meeting with Department of Health joint session. That was a great one. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, if there's nothing else to come before the board, we'll call the meeting adjourned at 7:28.